I'd actually applied to come to Maton when I left tech school. I more or less really, put my foot in the door and held it open and, got in. Once I got in, I was wrapped, I couldn't believe that, I was actually getting paid to have this amazing job, I describe it as a little bit like getting a job at Willy Wonka's chocolate factory, As time went on at Maton, I sort of, worked my way through different sections and pretty much learned, what made a Maton tick. So in 2005, we built the little room and I put the chisel down on the production line and went into the custom shop. Custom shop is what I would want in a guitar. As a guitarist, if I could go and meet the guy who was building my guitar and select the wood that had, some beautiful figure or grain in it that I liked and talk about stuff, just guitar stuff, and then get your guitar built for you. It's 100% hands-on still. There is actually a person there on every single mate and scraping, blending, sanding and feeling the neck at the end. So that adds to the Maton thing, they kind of got a personality, they got a soul. Every Maton is slightly different depending on, who built it, to be honest.
There's a soul and a kind of continuity of tone and playability in the guitars that people get very attached to. The Maton sound, it's evolved over the years, but it hasn't changed in character. So Bill, for example, when he started making what's called flat-topped acoustic guitars, which are the thing we're best known for now, his X-brace angle was wider than anybody else's. Every guitar you hear reflects that decision that was made back then. The use of Australian timbers in instrument making is a huge part, and Bill certainly, I think, pioneered that within Australia. When I began in instrument making, the conventional wisdom was that Australian timbers were no good for instrument making. You had to use American woods or European woods. Bill had already been using Australian woods, and that developed into a style. And so that use of Australian woods was really front and centre.
As far as the wood goes now, Murray Kidman. Murray's a stickler for walk in, walk out, carry the blocks on your shoulder, He drops only the old trees that are, basically had their life and, cuts them up on the forest floor into perfect sets and carries them out one by one. His passion is the timber and the forest.
Some of our artist relationships go way beyond the sort of endorsement publicity program. We've had, a lot of people that we've worked with who've influenced the way we go design-wise. So without the artist's input into the guitars, I doubt we would have evolved the way we have.
A lot of these amazing musicians, they choose to play a Maton because they love it and they love the sound of it. We don't sort of, financially endorse anyone.
They've got to love it, they've got to want it. It's got to be the sound they want. It's got to do the job.
John Butler, and when Ben Harper came to visit the factory, we thought he was going to be there for half an hour, ended up spending half the day there because they love it and they love seeing the guitars, seeing the boys work on the guitars and the smell of the factory, and it's just got an amazing, it's hard to describe unless you go to the factory, but it's got a really good feel to it.
Yeah, making musical instruments is one of the better things one can do in life, I think. You're making something that hopefully one day will be handed on to a grandchild. Here's my old Maton CW80. I love it. Now you can love it. Make music on it. And going to see them, going to gigs, festivals, and seeing Maton after Maton being played, by this artist or that is fantastic. You get a sense of pride out of that. Bill May's legacy is, I think, around the determination to do it ourselves, to do it here in Australia, to make it work, to create an instrument that we can be proud of, that Australia can be proud of, and that musicians will love. And Bill was a musician, so he understood he needed to make something that people wanted to use at a gig. That's what we have, and that's his legacy to us.